Pump guns have been a cornerstone of the U.S. military's arsenal for decades, and for good reason. To say they're versatile is an understatement. They're uniquely suited for a wide range of combat situations. Welcome back to Bolt vs. Lever. In this video, we'll explore 8 reasons why pump-action shotguns remain indispensable to military operations. Big thanks to everyone for all the love and support you've been showing our channel. It really means a lot. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to hit that button. It helps us keep things rolling and bring you more great human-made videos. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's dive in. Number 8. Psychological impact. Everyone knows that unmistakable sound of a pump-action shotgun being racked in movies, on television, or maybe in real life. It sends a message to the bad guys before they can even see who's holding the gun, and you can almost feel a shift in the air when it happens. That clack-clack is so deeply embedded into our popular culture that it makes people think twice about taking another step forward. You're not just hearing a piece of metal moving, you're hearing a warning that this person means business. Even if no shot is ever fired, that sound can be enough to turn an intruder around and send them running. It's no different in the context of military operations. Troops often find themselves in chaotic, high-pressure situations where intimidation alone can sometimes calm things down. If you have a pump-action shotgun in your hands, you're letting everyone know that the fight might not go well for anyone who decides to keep pushing. That's one reason this firearm has held onto its spot in the U.S. military arsenal for so long. There's a certain aura that comes with it, one that prompts second thoughts from enemies who might otherwise be ready to take risk. Number 7. Affordability and simplicity. Budgets matter most to the military, and so does ease of maintenance, especially when you're equipping large numbers of service members. Pump-action shotguns, such as the well-known Mossberg 590A1, are comparatively more budget-friendly than some of the standard rifles you see in service. The cost for a Mossberg 590A1 can range from just over $500 to the upper 700s, depending on which model and features you choose. Compare that to the Colt M4 carbine, which often runs between roughly $950 to over $2,600, again, depending on the specific model and features. It doesn't take a math expert to see that you could equip multiple personnel with pump-action shotguns for the cost of a single M4. Affordability can be a significant factor when you're responsible for arming entire units, and you want to stretch every defense dollar as far as it can go. Number 6. Effectiveness at mid-range. You've probably seen pump-action shotguns used in close quarters, but you might be surprised that these firearms can also hold their own when you need to reach out a bit farther. There are slugs that can dish out damage well beyond the typical short-range engagements. Some users have reported hitting targets accurately at about 100 yards with proper training and a good setup. You may have heard about slug-firing shotguns like the Savage Model 220 bolt-action, which, with a rifled barrel and an optic, can keep groups impressively tight at that distance. There are different slug options out there. You might find Winchester Platinum Tip Sabo slugs, which launch a 400-grain projectile at around 1,700 feet per second at the muzzle, which translates into well over 2,500 foot-pounds of energy when it exits the barrel. Even at 100 yards, it can still carry over 2,000 foot-pounds of force. Hornady's 12-gauge SST FTX is another contender, sending a 300-grain slug downrange at about 2,000 feet per second and retaining a substantial amount of kinetic energy at that 100-yard mark. Remington's Corlock Ultra Sabo slug fires a 385-grain bullet at around 1,900 feet per second initially, and it too keeps a hefty punch when you reach out to mid-range distances. If your shotgun has a smoothbore barrel instead of a rifled one, you can still get decent results. Rifled slugs and regular practice can get you on target at 100 yards. It won't group anywhere near a precision rifle, but it doesn't have to if you're aiming at larger or medium-sized targets in a mid-range scenario. That flexibility to handle targets both near and somewhat farther away makes pump-action shotguns an interesting choice for the military, especially when you consider the variety of tasks they might face in a single operation. It's easy to think of shotguns as purely close combat only, but they're more versatile than you'd expect when you load them with the right ammunition. The U.S. military appreciates having tools that can switch roles depending on the mission. Number 5. Close quarters combat effectiveness. It's hard to find a weapon that brings the same immediate impact to CQBs as a pump-action shotgun. You've got that spread of buckshot that can cover a wider area with one pull of the trigger, which really comes into play when your environment is tight and you don't have the luxury of lining up a perfect, precise shot. In places like narrow corridors, cramped rooms, or urban alleyways, you often don't have time to mess around. One shot can make all the difference, and the pump-action shotgun brings a historical track record that prove it excels in those scenarios. You can go all the way back to World War I, where the Winchester Model 1897 earned the nickname Trench Sweeper. It gained that reputation in the hellish conditions of trench warfare, where the ability to send multiple projectiles downrange in one go made a serious statement. When you're in close with an enemy, time is measured in fractions of a second, and having a weapon that can swiftly put an opponent on the defensive is a tremendous advantage. Modern pump actions like the Mossberg 590A1 carry on that legacy. Military specifications required a heavy barrel and metal trigger guard to withstand rough conditions. The result is a shotgun that can fire various loads, buckshots, slugs, and even specialized rounds without becoming temperamental. Pump actions give you the ability to manually cycle the next round, which removes a lot of the potential issues semi-automatic shotguns can experience with different ammo types. If you need to switch from buckshot to a slug mid-fight, you don't have to worry as much about feeding or ejection problems. When you're kicking doors in and clearing rooms, reliability is paramount. You don't want a jam or a misfire that leaves you exposed. A pump-action simpler mechanism is less likely to give you trouble if sand, dirt, or debris sneaks into the action. Number 4. Reliability and durability. If you ever talk to folks in the military who have spent time in gritty conditions, you'll hear them praise the pump-action shotgun for its straightforward, do-it-yourself operation. Everything is manual, so there aren't as many moving parts that rely on gas pressure or inertia to keep cycling properly. That manual control means you can power through mud, dirt, or poor weather without worrying as much about your weapon failing. It's no coincidence that models like the Mossberg 590A1 passed the U.S. Army's mil-spec 3443E test, which puts shotguns through all sorts of abuse to see if they keep working. There's also the Remington 870, a design that has been around for decades and has proven itself again and again. Dual-action bars reduce the chance of jamming, and a sturdy build means it can take a beating in the field. The 870 was the first to adopt dual-action bars with a non-binding design, an innovation that boosted reliability in the worst conditions. You can find service members who have used these shotguns for years without them showing much wear or failing at critical moments, which is exactly the track record you want in military operations. Semi-automatic shotguns might fire faster, but they tend to rely on more sophisticated systems that can be sensitive to dirt, sand, or variations in ammunition. That's not to say they can't work well. The Benelli M4 is known to last tens of thousands of rounds before needing major parts replaced. Still, you get a level of comfort with a pump that just comes from being able to cycle it yourself. Number 3. Versatility in ammunition. You might think a shotgun is just for basic buckshot or slugs, but the truth is that pump actions can handle an impressive range of ammunition types. This adaptability is one of the reasons you still see them in military inventories. Different missions call for different loads, and you never know what you might need to do next. If you're in close quarters, buckshot can put out multiple pellets in a single trigger pull. The Winchester Super X 12-gauge 2.75-inch double-aught buckshot is one example that tosses 9 .33-inch pellets at around 1,325 feet per second. It's consistently effective in that short-range environment. If you need penetration, or you're dealing with a scenario that calls for more precision at mid-range, you've got slug options, like Remington's 12-gauge slug. Remington secured a contract to supply the U.S. Navy with slug loads, which tells you something about that manufacturer's reputation for reliability. Slugs let you engage targets that are a bit further away or behind certain barriers, giving you the flexibility to switch tasks without changing firearms. Pump actions can also chamber specialized shells. Incendiary shells, for instance, ignite on impact and might be used under very specific conditions. Non-lethal shells come into play when you need to control a crowd or use minimal force. Options like rubber buckshot or beanbag rounds can put the brakes on a situation without escalating it to lethal levels. Then there are breaching rounds, designed to destroy door locks and hinges. The M1030 breaching round is a perfect example of how you can tailor a shotgun to a specialized role without changing the overall platform. Being able to load all these different type shells into a single weapon offers serious benefits. Instead of lugging around multiple firearms, you can adapt on the fly. In military operations, that flexibility is invaluable. You never know if you'll be clearing a room, breaching a door, or controlling a crowd in the span of a few hours. By switching ammunition, you effectively reconfigure the shotgun's purpose in seconds. And speaking of breaching a door, number 2. Breaching efficiency. When you're in an urban environment and you need to get through a locked door without wasting time, the pump-action shotgun becomes the kind of tool that can make all the difference. Military units rely on shotguns for breaching because they're simple, robust, and can fire specialized ammunition designed to break through locks, hinges, and other barriers. If you've got to get inside a fortified position quickly, time spent fumbling with other methods might cost you the element of surprise or expose you to additional threats. Ballistic breaching requires the right technique, but it's straightforward once you train for it. You press the muzzle against the lock or hinge and fire a round that's meant to destroy the mechanism without sending shrapnel flying everywhere. The U.S. Army Field Manual references the M500 and M26 12-gauge shotguns as tools that can neutralize a doorknob or hinge, while rifles like the 5.56mm and the 7.62mm rarely achieve that same effect in one shot. It's a testament to how well shotguns handle close-up, specialized tasks that other firearms simply can't do as efficiently. The type of breaching round that is used also matters. The M1030 round, for instance, has a projectile made of powdered steel bound with wax. That frangible construction is designed to disintegrate upon impact with the door hardware, so soldiers are less likely to injure anyone on the other side or send dangerous fragments back at their own team. Some operators recommend having a dedicated shotgun specifically for breaching to avoid accident, because mixing breaching rounds with slugs or buckshot in the same weapon can create confusion at the worst possible time. It's also common to see standoff devices that let you place the muzzle at the correct distance for an effective, safe shot. Training and safety considerations are crucial here. Organizations like the National Tactical Officers Association offer courses that drill these techniques, so anyone can learn how to breach effectively without injuring themselves or any bystander. Number 1. Drone defense capability. If you haven't been watching the news, you probably don't know that drones are now being deployed all over the modern battlefield. From small quadcopters scouting positions to more sophisticated designs capable of carrying explosives. You might not immediately think of a shotgun as a go-to solution, but pump-action shotguns have proven surprisingly effective for bringing down these pesky aerial threats. When a drone is hovering or flying low enough, a shotgun loaded with birdshot can pepper it with pellets that cause enough damage to knock it out of commission. That's one reason militaries worldwide, including the U.S. military, have added shotguns to their counter-drone strategies. The pattern of pellets increases your odds of making contact with a fast-moving or agile drone, which can be tough to track with a rifle. You might see specialized anti-drone rounds emerging from ammo manufacturers, including Swedish company Norma's ADLER shell, specifically crafted to give you the right spread and power to handle first-person view drones that might zoom in quickly or hover just out of reach. Shotguns are widely available, easy to use, and relatively inexpensive, so they're a practical component of short-range drone defense. The Belgian military, for instance, employs the Benelli M4 in its anti-drone strategy, confirming that this isn't just an American idea. Some drones fly too high for a shotgun to be helpful, so you still need other layers of defense. If a drone is 50 yards away or closer, though, you can have real success with pump actions. It's no silver bullet for every aerial threat, but it fills an important niche where you might not have a more specialized system at the ready. At the end of the day, the best solution to a drone problem is usually a combination of methods. High-tech systems might jam or hijack a drone signal, while marksmen equipped with precision rifles can engage drones at longer distances. Still, if an enemy drone is buzzing in low and you can't afford to wait for a technology-based countermeasure, it's comforting to have a simple, rugged, manually cycled shotgun on hand. And that's all we have for you today. Pump guns continue to prove their worth in military service, offering psychological impact, affordability, and unparalleled versatility in ammunition. They excel in mid-range engagements, dominate in close-quarters combat, and even provide effective defense against modern threats like drones. We'd love to hear your take. Which shotgun model from this video caught your interest the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments. While you're down there, please hit like, share, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for more military insights and firearm breakdowns. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.